This is ringland failure. It's a very common issue for EJ motors, and you guessed it, it has happened to me. And since I've done it, and now that I know a few ways to prevent it, I want to do my best to let you guys know a few really easy but helpful ways you guys can prevent your EJ motor from going kaboom. So that you guys could remember it really easily, I even made a 3-step alliteration for you guys to remember. First, you have maintenance. Second, you have monitoring. And third, you have modifying. So maintain, monitor, mod. So maintenance. What can you do in order to maintain your car to prevent ringland failure? Oil changes, spark plugs, fuel. Simple enough. Oil changes. You want to make sure you do your oil changes in a timely manner. It's kind of like a business meeting. If you're there on time, you're late. If you're there early, you're on time. So if you do it early and you make sure that you are very cautious and when you're changing your oil and you're using high quality oil with either the OEM filter or a really nice high quality filter, that'll really aid you in preventing your car from having any issues. Second, spark plugs. A lot of people really underestimate changing spark plugs and how actually important that is for your motor. Keep in mind, the more you have done to your car and the more mods you have on your car, generally, the shorter the time frame is that you need to be changing your spark plugs. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're doing regular maintenance on your spark plugs because that can really help you. Third, fuel. You want to use high quality fuel. You want to use consistency in the grade of fuel that you use as well. And if you can, try to use the highest octane that's available to you. The reason why is because with higher octanes comes higher knock resistance, and that is a very important thing for Subarus. But at the same time, try and remain consistent with the fuels that you use and try and find one gas station to go to. I usually just use Shell, I use V-Power, and I use the same octane gas every time I fill up. So 2, monitoring. Now, I'm not only going to talk about how you can monitor your car's performance, but we're also going to talk about how you can monitor your own driving and your input to the car so that you can make sure that you're not doing anything to your car that's bad for it. So first, a really good thing to do is get a Cobb access port. Now, I'm not endorsed to say anything with Cobb, I'm just letting you guys know it's a very good thing to get. Turbo cars are extremely sensitive to anything you do to them. So any kind of change in the intake or anything like that will always require a tune. You can run your car lean, you can detonate the motor, you can blow the motor just by adding an intake without having a proper tune. So keep that in mind. Also, the access port is good for monitoring things such as dynamic advance multiplier, feedback knock, air to fuel. Even though the air to fuel is not always very consistent, I do recommend getting an air to fuel wideband. It's a very helpful thing to do, and it's always good to watch what your Subaru is doing and see how the car is actually performing. Now, as far as what you can do as the driver, there's a couple things that you can do, and there's a couple things that people don't understand. Do not mash the throttle under 3,000 RPMs, especially in the higher gears. It's really hurtful on your cars. So when you're driving on the highway, you're in 5th or 6th gear and you want to accelerate, downshift that, or really ease into it. The reason why is because whenever you go full throttle in 5th or 6th gear, whatever you're doing, under 3,000 RPMs, it puts a lot of load and a lot of stress on the motor. It can cause overheating issues and it can cause knock and detonation, and that's not what you want. That's actually the exact opposite of what you want. And aside from that, a really important issue is a lot of people don't realize that your car needs to warm up, especially these cars. Just because your coolant temperature is all the way at operating temperature does not mean your oil is fully warmed up. It can take 5 to 10 minutes, even sometimes up to 20 minutes on cold ass days like this for your car to fully warm up. So keep that in mind. If your oil is not fully warmed up and it's not dispersed through the motor like it should be, you can really cause some serious issues to your car. So take your time. I warm my car up in the mornings about 5-10 minutes before I even get into the car, and that really has proven to be extremely helpful. So now that you know about maintenance and monitoring, we're going to talk about modifying. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, you should go big turbo, all that kind of crap. I'm going to talk to you about a few different mods that you can do that can kind of help you guys out and really support the way your car operates. First and foremost, aside from like the Cobb access port that I was telling you about and some of the air to fuel widebands and stuff like that, one of the most important mods I think is literally the most crucial to an EJ motor is an air to oil separator or a catch can. One of the worst things that can happen to your Subaru is fuel dilution, and that can happen just simply by blow-by. Without having an air oil separator or a catch can, oil can actually get into the intake of your car, and that can cause some serious knocking and detonation issues, and that's a very common reason why Subaru motors blow up like they do. Aside from that, one thing that I've actually done some research on and looked at is the stock downpipe. The stock downpipe, because it's so small and it's actually got 2 catalytic converters, it's extremely restrictive. So I don't know why in your right mind you would buy this car and not want to, you know, hoon around in it or accelerate quickly at times. But keep in mind that with the stock downpipe, because of how restrictive it is, it can really cause some heating issues. So if you can, get a proper tune and change your factory downpipe, because that actually can help you. Last but not least, this is not required, but it is very helpful, and I'll tell you why. Getting an equal length exhaust manifold can be one of the best things you can do for your Subaru. Now it sounds kind of hypocritical because I actually have an unequal length. It's aftermarket. I used to have equal lengths, but I don't anymore. But equal lengths are extremely helpful. And the reason why is because with the factory unequal length exhaust manifold, what happens is cylinders 2 and 4 have a lot longer distance to travel to the up pipe than cylinders 1 and 3. So that causes a lot of issues, and it makes them run at really hot operating temperatures versus 1 and 3. So usually the piston that I showed you at the very beginning of the video was actually from cylinder 4 from my motor. So doing that and getting a proper tune for it, and yes, you absolutely have to get a tune if you change your exhaust manifold, can really help you. So guys, remember, maintain, monitor, and mod. You can do really easy supporting mods, you can do really easy maintenance things, and there's really easy, simple ways for you to monitor your car's performance and make sure that nothing goes wrong. Now I do want to give credit. There's a really good, really solid article out there from Toge Tuning up in Canada, and I will put their article in the description of this video because they did a really good job of explaining some of this stuff, and it's very similar in layout to this video. If you guys do have any questions, you can look at that or ask me in the comment section. If you guys haven't already hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.